We'll see in it.
We will. Speaking of Arsenal, first deal, there's a done deal, one that I think Arsenal fans will be happy about on its way to happening today. And that is, it looks very likely that Zinchenko is about to leave. So a player's leaving, a player that's still coming on regularly in games as well, which I think is interesting.
Same as Kieran Tierney as well.
Kieran Tierney, I think it's a pre-agreement that he's going to do with Celtic, but still nobody's in. So it looks like a done deal's really close in terms of Isak leaving. There's talk. Not Isak. Sorry. Zinchenko. I don't know how my brain confused Isak and Zinchenko.
You're going to ask to sign Isak now that he's gone.
No. Do you know what it was? It's because I was looking at the fact that Newcastle are looking at is a target for Cunha, but also Nottingham Forest are looking like they may put a record-breaking bid in for Cunha. If Arsenal get rid of a player, which frees up salary, I think we've already seen their PSR and their trading account information come out, and it looks like they're in a very, very good position. Why have Arsenal not bid yet for Cunha? Why have they not bid? I don't care that Leipzig are saying he ain't for sale. Make them an offer they can't refuse. I'm going Don Vito here. Make them an offer they can't refuse. Why have Arsenal done nothing? And listen, I know not all Arsenal fans like Zinchenko, but him leaving and no one else coming in, it does slightly weaken their squad, at least from a body point of view. Yeah. Surely they've got to do something now, Arsenal.
They are cowards. That's why. Oh, yes, there we go. Let's talk about this. Because I remember I had a back and forth with Jess when she was in part of the top 6 group chat and some Arsenal fans in the chat. And I said, I think Arteta will be successful and win a league, but just not on Arsenal. And obviously, this was a few years ago. And it's like, why? Why Arteta won't win? And I said, it's not because he's crap. I just don't think the Cronkies will do enough to get them over the line in the end. And they were like, oh, no, but look what we're doing since they've taken over fully, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, cool. That's my opinion. I'll let it play out. And they started showing something. Obviously, Declan Rice coming in. They brought in Jesus and Zinchenko at the time. So I thought, oh, maybe they've changed. But if you look at their time at Arsenal, especially when they've taken over fully, whenever it comes to getting the level raiser to take them over to the next phase, they don't want to do it. They did it with Vlahovic. Couldn't get it done. Moises Caicedo. Couldn't get it done. Who else? There was another. Mudryk. Couldn't get it done. All of these big signings, especially in Jan, when they need it to push on along, they don't want to do it because I don't know why. I think they're scared. I think they're scared of the repercussions of a big signing being bad. Now, they did Declan Rice because he was a summer transfer. They could market him well enough because he's an English lad, English player, plays for England, all of these things, won the Conference League. They could market it well and do the whole thing with him and not see it as a bad thing. Unfortunately, Declan Rice has also been very good for Arsenal, so that's fine. No one talks about his 100 million. But when it comes to everywhere else, it's scrimping and it's just doing enough. Like in the summer, Calafiori and Moreno was just enough to do a little something, you know? Sterling alone, just enough. How long have we been asking Arsenal to sign a cover for Saka that could challenge him? How long have we been saying, by the way, Martinelli needs a better competition than Trossard? How long have we been saying, yo, Arsenal need a striker because Havertz and Gabriel Jesus aren't goal-scoring strikers? They're scared. I think they're genuinely scared of things going wrong. And they've built up their club perfectly in these last 5 years where things seem to be going right all the time, right? But now they're at a point where you need to take a risk. And they don't want to take a risk. They're being scared of taking risks. And to be the best, you need to take risks sometimes. And they need to go out there and spend the money on someone clutch.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree that the nurse scared to take risks. Paying £105 million for players, taking risks. Paying 300k for Kai Havertz, to me, is taking risks. The problem is that I think it's a bit multi-layered in terms of I'm still not convinced that Arteta doesn't have more power than he should have. And I think when they look at Havertz and they look at other signings, they're thinking, "Oh, you want to now sign another player that's 200k, 300k wages?" And I don't know about that. I think that might be running through their minds as well. I'm not sure that there's a problem there. And for instance, if Rosicky comes in as sporting director, that again to me signals that Arteta's hand is way too influential in the Arsenal's hierarchy. But also, great question in terms of why isn't there backup for Saka? My concern might be that Arteta might not want someone to necessarily challenge Saka all that much as well. Whereas a sporting director might say that you need someone. I think they need a versatile player, especially with PSR. I think that he will need a player that can play across the front three, i.e. Cunha. What I suspect for instance, though, to end it on this, is that whenever I mention Cunha I've mentioned recently to Arsenal fans and others, is that, and I think with especially Nottingham Forest competing and maybe Newcastle, I almost wonder if there's a sense of maybe snobbery from Arsenal and saying, well, we're not going to be there bidding with you, peasants here. We'll wait until the summer. And Forest being aggressive, maybe even Newcastle might join in and match their bid as well. We might call Arsenal's bluff in that situation and just really ask Cunha the question, because I think he'll be very, very good competition for Saka, in my opinion. But I don't think Arsenal are as risk averse as people say. They have been taking risks. I don't think necessarily on the players they should have. And so, and I think PSR is a big a problem with that as well. So, and the combination of maybe thinking they're a bit above competing with the likes of Forest and Newcastle for players like Cunha. I think there might be a mixture of all those things in one.
The only risk I could agree with is Havertz. That's the big risk. But I didn't think Declan Rice was a risk. I don't think Gabriel Jesus and Zinchenko from the Premier League champions to come elevate your team was a risk. Like
105 million on a midfielder though. Like he's the only one who no one really mentions his price tag anymore. So he has been a success. But with Zinchenko leaving, he's on 150k a week. So they're 150k a week on their financial outgoings every week better off. There's also Kieran Tierney who's going to be leaving in the summer. If they don't bring in a forward, it's as simple as that. You're not going to win anything. I honestly think they've already got their Saka replacement. I think it's going to be Wanyeri. I think Arteta's going to mould him into a right winger where he has played since Saka's been out. And I think they'll go and get Sesko in this window. I can see Cunha joining Forest, and I think they'll go and get Sesko. That's just my prediction. Whether that's probably total BS, very likely, but that's what I think could happen.
You're a fan. You're allowed to, it's an opinion. You're allowed to have it. You don't have to enter it might be bullshit. It's an opinion, and anyone who gets anal over football fans' opinions being right or wrong all the time. Again, I said it last night on the show. They need to turn the shows off. Thank you for watching, but turn it off. Ring some friends. Go touch some grass. Consensually, of course. Go touch a boob. Go kiss some lips consensually, and enjoy your life a little bit. And you'll find that you'll be less angry that Henry Wright or KJ Milligan or Kate, whose surname I don't know, get some predictions wrong. Kate, when it comes to Arsenal for you, as we saw Matt say in the comments a few moments ago, he said, I haven't started now, but he basically said, I'm not worried about Zinchenko leaving, but if we don't bring anybody in, it's frustrating because it weakens the numbers. Do you think Arsenal will do something? Do you think they're playing it a little bit? Because there hasn't been that much business for Premier League teams yet. As in, it's not as though, if you look at the top six, we've all signed 2 or 3 players and Arsenal have done nothing. But do you think Arsenal will act in this next week for at least an attacker, someone that can help them score more goals?
First of all, I don't have a surname. I'm like Prince. I'm just Kate. There's no surname.
Your surname's Kate Jim, and Jim's last name is Kate Jim.
That's it. I find it a little bit bizarre that Arteta's admitted that he's actually asking his players who he thinks they should sign as a striker. I find that a little bit bizarre, and also I hear what people are saying about maybe he's got more say, but he was very stroppy yesterday when someone said to him about not wanting a striker, and he sort of said, "When have I ever said that?" and sort of bit their head off. So I'm wondering if he's being held back from signing who he wants to sign. I mean, it's It's just my own personal opinion. He looked very frustrated yesterday in that interview. Do I see him signing anyone? No, I don't. Not until just the summer. And I agree with, I think it was Henry that said that unless they sign someone, they're winning nothing. They need to get a striker. But we've been saying that for window after window and nothing's happening. But I don't think that Arteta's going to sign anybody this window. I think if they do, it will be in the summer. I think deep down he knows they're not going to win the league. And I don't see him doing any business. I don't think it's necessarily they're cowards. I just think that as much as Arsenal fans hate it, Arsenal and Spurs aren't that different. We go through stages where we're above Arsenal for a few years. No, listen to my reasoning.
It does remind me of Poch.
We go through stages where we're above Arsenal for a few years but win nothing. Then they go through stages where they finish above us for a few years and they win nothing. You watch their fans, they're constantly moaning about the board. They're constantly moaning about they don't invest enough. They're constantly moaning about the manager. 1 minute they want him in, 1 minute they want it out. And I sit and listen to Arsenal fans and it sounds like Spurs fans. Spurs fans never, ever invest what they need to invest. Spurs fans constantly arguing amongst themselves, oh, this manager's rubbish, get him out, constantly moaning about the board. There isn't a lot of difference except the odd trophy that Arsenal have picked up along the way. I'm sorry, Arsenal fans ain't going to like it, but it's a fact. North London is cursed. Both teams in North London are crap for the majority. They don't win much. Arsenal used to have such a fantastic history. You know, Spurs did years and years ago, but more recently, Premier League, Arsenal were an absolute force. They're just not like that anymore. And their fans, a lot of fans are happy with just challenging and finishing second every year. I grew up where Arsenal fans would never have been happy with that. But look, I can see Arsenal fans are getting a little bit stroppy in the chat. That's fine. But I'm sorry, truth hurts.
So you're saying it's by design. It's not out of fear of getting it wrong because they can do it. It's by design where they don't actually want to spend money at all.
Correct. I think the owners aren't that dissimilar to Daniel Levy. That's how I see it. I think both clubs are very, very similar. Sorry, guys, in the chat, please cry a little bit more.